Males of Reddit, what is your creepy girl story? 1. My sister is an insane person. She started dating this lovely divorced tradie named Mark who had a 5-year-old daughter. My sister asked him to choose between her and the daughter, and he obviously said the daughter. She got insanely jealous. Sister started making a bunch of fake Facebook accounts, some of Mark, some of his friends. Long story short, she made chat logs that framed this guy for molesting his daughter and sent them to his ex-wife. Ex-wife didn't really believe it, but of course, you have to take it seriously. He had to take his daughter to the doctors to see if there was any evidence, horrifying, and was talking to police a lot, but eventually they cleared him. The police tracked the logs to our shared home computer. Mark gets a call saying, "We found the person doing this. We're on our way to arrest him." They were on their way to arrest my dad at his work. Mark realized what was happening in this moment and stopped them and explained it was my sister. Thankfully, Mark left her. After a bit more investigation of the computer, they found all these Google searches about how to kill a child and make it look like an accident. I remember something about putting a snake in their bed. She's had like 10 husbands, boyfriends I remember, and all of them have insane stories. She broke men down to nothing. It's wild. 2. What the absolute fuck? JFC. So, can I ask, how has your family dealt with all of this? Is anyone still in contact with her? 3. It's crazy, man. Dad and I have just completely written her off a few years ago. I'm 32 and the Mark thing happened when I was 15. Mom has a soft heart and desperately just wants to have a nice relationship with her daughter, but recent events have made her cut ties finally. One event was her saying she had cancer. Mom had a nervous breakdown, then we figured out it was a lie. We think she has some sort of disorder I can't remember the name of, non-stop needless and exotic lying and need for attention in a dangerous way. Another fun one about 5 years ago, she's dating this guy George and then cheating on him with some other guy. George finds out and comes to our house while she was visiting and basically threatens to hurt her. Then, gotta admit, I'm sitting in the next room while she coaches her 14-year-old son on what to say to the police, which was that George raped her in front of her son. Absolutely not true. I should have told the police my version of events, but I dunno, I just didn't consider it at the time. There was a period where we thought these men were the problem, but I've realized the pattern now, which is that she damages them to such an extreme degree that they lash out and do something crazy. George was a good guy before. Normally I'd be like, wow, threatening to hurt a lady is horrendous, but weirdly I like. See how he got there? She has this ability to just completely twist a man's mind. It's really weird. Never seen anything else like it. I didn't think it really affected me, but I'm slowly realizing it probably did have some impact, and I've started talking about it in therapy to see if it connects to anything else. I feel the worst for Mom. She's had some really sad periods because of my sister. 4. Histrionic personality disorder? Constant need for attention. Lying, inappropriate nudity, etc. 5. Once, a friend added me on Facebook. When I clicked on her profile, it indicated that she was in a relationship. That person had a fake account with my picture. 6. I once had a neighbor I said hi to on occasion tell people, including mutuals and her ex-boyfriend, that we were a thing. This wasn't on social media. It was in real life, and she was telling people about the sex we were supposedly having together. I literally only ever said hi to her as a courtesy. Knew almost nothing about her, and never once hung out with her. She was a stranger to me and made up a whole summer affair. 7. That's fucking unhinged. Did she not think you would notice? So weird. 8. I briefly went to a college that was almost all men. The prettiest girl there had a fake boyfriend the whole time she was in college. I only know because she posted about no longer needing it around the time she graduated. I think it was just to dissuade unwanted advances. 9. It is so funny. And traumatic, but still so funny. I would be so confused if this happened to me. 10. One time I got on the bus to leave university and a girl came and sat down next to me, pulled out her phone, and showed me a picture she had taken of me on a previous day on the bus. She didn't say anything, just showed me the picture. I had no idea how to react. 11. Yikes, wait, what did you do? 12. He's still on the bus and doesn't know how to react. Any ideas to help him out? 13. Grab both of her ass cheeks and tell her she reminds him of his son. 14. Then befriend her younger sister and show her a fake Tinder account in the creepy girl's name. 15. Kind of similar bus story but not really. When I was in high school I would take the bus to and from school every day. On the ride to school I would get on the bus and sit or stand wherever there was space. And there was always this lady watching me. Not really crazy but very creepy. I have terrible eyesight and can't see more than like 3 feet in front of me. At the time I didn't wear glasses, so I could never see what she was doing or if she was saying something, but I could tell she was staring at me. Every time I'd sit in the bus she would stare at me. I'd say she was mid-20s to 30s. Never spoke anything to me but she always looked at me, and it became very unusual for me as I didn't know how to react towards it, so I'd just ignore her until my stop arrived. 16. On Valentine's Day, my junior year of high school, 2 girls asked me out. One was very cute and timid, and I really liked her. The other person had a boyfriend. After rejecting the second girl, she went to her boyfriend and told him to beat me up because I was to blame for making her want to cheat on him. Her boyfriend apologized to me and then broke up with her in the same sentence. That girl threatened us both with death for several weeks afterward. 17. Her boyfriend apologized to me and then broke up with her in the same sentence. I am very glad he was a reasonable human being. 18. Wise beyond his years. 19. Yeah, in high school when kids are full of hormones, they don't tend to make the wisest decisions. Sadly, even a lot of people older than that wouldn't be that smart when love is fucking with your head. Good on him. 20. Guy at work came in with a messed up face. Found out later his wife had instigated a fight between him and 2 construction workers. 21. After we broke up, she broke into my apartment and dug through my trash to find used condoms and tried to inseminate herself. She admitted this. I got a restraining order against her because she kept throwing rocks at my windows and waiting outside trying to attack my new girlfriend. The police made fun of me when I'd call in the restraining order. 22. Wow. Those police officers suck. They should be fired. 23. Fun fact. Police officers in the US are not required to enforce a restraining order. 24. Cops in the US don't seem to be required to do anything useful or productive. 25. I was in New Orleans watching some street performers go crazy when a mom came up behind me and fully grabbed both of my ass cheeks. I was 18 and standing next to both of my parents, and she said, "Hey, you remind me of my son." Which was probably one of the weirdest things to say in that moment. 26. So how much did she manage to pickpocket you for? 27. His dignity. 28. She was gonna pickpocket you. 29. By fully grabbing both of his ass cheeks and drawing his attention to the area where his pockets are. I don't think so. When you pickpocket someone you want their attention away from their pockets. 30. Talking up a couple girls in a bar with a buddy. It's going well. For some reason the girl I was talking to was in the other's purse and squealed, "Oh my god, you still have these?" Or something like that, and the other girl got real kinda tense and tried to get her purse real quick, but before she did the other girl dumped it on the table. There were 4 to 5 bundles of hair. Like each was a small ponytail with rubber bands holding the hairs together. Turns out she had cut of these mini ponytails of hair from various dudes she had been with who had long hair. My buddy who was chatting her up had long hair. So that's pretty creepy, but what got me was when the other girl dumped out the purse. You had the hair, your typicals, makeup stuffs, wallet, cigs, gum, act. And then about 7 to 8 fairly large knives. I didn't stick around much longer. 31. Her friend was trying to warn your long-haired buddy. 32. This wing woman was out there trying to save people. 33. Imagine waking up the morning after a one-night stand and your freaking hair is missing. 34. Pretty sure that was about to happen to my buddy. 35. My first thought would be, I wonder which crime I'll be framed for. 36. You may have stumbled on an intricate rejection tactic, the old spilling the fake purse filled with clippings of hair and knives. Trick. Lol, it's not that many knives new, please don't leave. 37. Maybe. But I don't think so. This was in Birmingham, Alabama, at a fairly notorious dive bar, and really, for the place and its clientele, this wasn't out of line. 38. The hair got my eyebrows up. The knife sealed it, though. Holy shit. 39. Just hair or hair and knives is creepier than any quantity of knives you can fit in a purse. Can knives by themselves in a purse not be creepy at all? Maybe one. Maybe a few. But also, maybe not? 40. Girl stole my jacket and made a shrine to me with manga-style drawings of her and I making out. 41. You knew Helga Pataki? 42. She befriended my younger sister just to get her to ask her to a sleepover. I woke up in the middle of the night with her laying in bed with me. I was 17 yo. She was 13. 43. I think we're done here. She Alicia Silverstone in the crush edu. 44. She befriended my younger sister just to get her to ask her to a sleepover. Holy shit lol, I thought this was something that only happened to me. The first I knew about it, her befriending my sister, was crazy chick showing up at my house. I just locked myself in my room for the night lol. 45. Worst one here, this could have destroyed you. 46. Young girls who are bound and determined to flirt with you are terrifying. Happened to me a lot when I was younger, usually with the kids of my mom's friends. My mom had me when she was 18, so her friends' kids are consistently 5+ years younger than me. Back then I was embarrassed to call them out on it, or worried that they would accuse me of being a creep for thinking they were flirting with me. Now that I'm older, when teenagers try it, I just outright tell them they're too young for me and they back off. My advice is to just immediately call them out if they start flirting with you, otherwise they tend to escalate and can easily take your lack of rejection as a green flag. Even if they deny it, it will get them to stop. 47. I started teaching high school when I was 22. I got a lot of girls who had a crush on me as I was the young, cool teacher, and they'd openly try and flirt with me. It was very awkward and I had to learn how to stomp out that behavior without also embarrassing them or provoking teenage rage. It was tough. Probably the most difficult was one girl who was very sweet and naive, often teased by the others, who asked me to the homecoming dance. She was one of my favorite students, always tried her best and wore her heart on her sleeve. It was tough to let her down gently without breaking her heart. And then of course I was always worried about being accused of doing anything with any of the girls. If one of them got offended at my rejection, or simply didn't like their grade on an assignment or anything like that, they could easily have accused me of any number of things and tanked my career, and probably my life. It was a minefield. For that and many other reasons, I'm so glad I'm no longer a teacher. 48. I don't know how anyone does that job anymore. Thanks for putting in the time. 50. Now you've got me wondering about this because my sister had a friend come stay at our house, and when my sister went to get pizza she insisted on staying back to hang out with me. 51. She followed me everywhere in total silence, just staring at me from a few meters away. She even followed me to college. If I got on a bus or train, she'd run to make sure she caught it. When I called the police on her when she didn't stop after I repeatedly asked her and told her brother to tell her to stop, she cried to the cop, which made her feel sorry for her to the point where the cop asked me to give her a chance. I didn't. 52. Yikes, that was not cool of the cop. 53. Gosh. Despite the totally creepy behavior, it gets excused and the blame placed on you. 54. She broke into my dorm room without me knowing and stood over me while I slept. When I woke up she invited me to a threesome. I noped the fuck out of there. 55. You, her, and the voices. 56. That's not a threesome. Op was about to get gangbanged. 57. In college I was in an apartment with 3 other guys. There's a knock on the door when I'm there by myself. I answer it and there's this girl I've never seen. She says she's got some food to drop off for one of my roommates. I let her in and put it in the fridge. She kinda looks around for a minute and leaves when she realizes no one else was there. I tell my roommates and they freak out. Apparently this girl has been stalking the guy she was looking for. They ask a bunch of questions about what she did and I tell them she just came in and left. I didn't really understand what the big deal was. Some time later we had a party and there was a bunch of people in the living room. Roommate and I are sitting on the couches facing each other. We look over to the side and there's this parting of the Red Sea moment where it seems everyone in the party moved to one side or the other and we both had a clear view all the way into kitchen. The girl was standing there, absolutely still, and just staring at him. It was like something out of a movie. There was something disturbing about how she was completely frozen in a room full of people talking, drinking, or moving about in one way or another. She was just staring at him. That was it. We didn't have parties for a while and I was told not to let her in. She knocked on the door a couple times, but I didn't answer. I know it's not much of a story, but I'll never forget that frozen, obsessive look on her face. Edit, because people were asking, I believe they threw out the food. 58. That's creepy AF and these people live in society with us. 59. A chick in my office looked up my address in our system and turned up at my house, threatened to break my door down if we didn't go to the beach. She then later manipulated her friends into them thinking I was treating her badly, so next time she turned up she had backup and all 3 were screaming at me from outside. 60. I went on a Tinder date back when that was a thing and mistakenly invited her back to my place after dinner. She passed the vibe check, so it seemed innocent enough. We got to my place around 8 p.m. She was coquettish and it was cute, but I knew she wanted to go further. We hung out until about 10 p.m. and I was not super into it, so I suggested I walk her to her car. She did not want to leave though. I would start to walk her to the door and she would excuse herself to the bathroom and then go back to my couch. I literally said, "It's getting late, let me take you to your car so you can get home." She would not leave. I was as polite as I could be, trying to get her out of my place. Finally, I kind of danced with her in the kitchen and spun her out the door, locked it behind us and walked her to the car, but she stood by my front door for like 10 more minutes. It was past midnight by the time I finally got her to start her engine and pull away. It was this high-tension standoff I had never experienced before. 61. Lol, that dancem of is pretty good. 62. It's brilliant. I'm going to start using it on guests who overstay their welcome and refuse to take a hint. 63. Wait, I'm married now and everything. But our Tinder date's no longer a thing. 64. Dating casually for a month. She suspected I was cheating. I wasn't, because on weekdays I would go to bed early, 9:30, to be up at 5:45 for work. She thought this was a ruse and decided to drive 30 minutes to my apartment building in the middle of the night. She waited outside for someone to come into the building and followed them in. Then go to my apartment and knocked on my door to see that I'm there and alone. She told me this when she came inside, then left and went home to sleep. 65. This is why I try not to let people in with me when I enter my building. I would rather turn around, go around the building and enter through the back door to avoid having to let in a visitor, because I have no way of knowing if they're a welcome visitor or someone trying to cause trouble for one of my neighbors. 66. A guy on our Amethyst show was talking about how he's married with 2 kids and he adores his wife. She makes him very happy. His last cheated on him, something he found out when one of his buddies told him about seeing her on a dating app, and his wife, who was a coworker at the time, helped him pick up the pieces. All was going swimmingly until his wife got a new phone. He was fixing something on her old phone for her. That's when he saw she had created a profile on a dating app using his ex-girlfriend's photo info. The ex had never cheated. His wife had framed her so they would break up and she could have this guy to herself. Edit. Should probably add that the wife admitted it when he confronted her but said he shouldn't be angry because she was young, shy and infatuated with him. Plus everything worked out great so there's no reason to be upset. 67. What the fuck? I seriously don't know what I would do in that situation. On the one hand they have 2 kids. On the other hand she's clearly fucking psychotic. How can he ever trust her? 68. His only option is to laugh nervously around her. 69. Sounds like BS though. She kept the fake profile after all these years? I mean, they had 2 kids. 70. Also sounds very similar to another dating urban legend I've heard several times about a girl who goes to meet a guy from Tinder at a bar and while she's waiting starts chatting with a random guy there. The guy she planned to meet stands her up so she stays for another drink with the random guy and eventually gives him her number, only to eventually learn he was the guy from the dating app using a fake account, etc. 71. Right? Smart enough to execute the breakup but too dumb to destroy the evidence. 72. Met a girl on a dating app and had simple conversation for a few days. Suddenly about 5 days in before we even had the chance to meet up she tells me the names of my mother, father, and sister and the address and landline of the house I grew up in. She told me she found out who everyone was to look them up on Facebook and put a face to the name if I ever told any stories. Asking me for a picture was completely out of the question I guess. Steered clear of that storm pretty quickly after. 73. That's what you think, Brian. 74. Friend suggested I go on a date with a girl he met on a dating site. I went out with her, just didn't click. She was way too presumptuous about how well things were going. Month later he's moved her in as a roommate. According to him she was cool, had a boyfriend already, etc. I started seeing her outside my apartment all the time. Now she was a runner and I only lived a few blocks away so I hand waved that. I also started running into her at the grocery store like all time. But you know, same area, I ran into other friends at the store. Not as frequently, but you know it's the grocery store in our area. Then there was she was always in a state of undress when I came over. Like she was just heading to the shower, just getting out. Her room was right by the front door. She just happened to be changing. She cornered me in just a towel a few times. But her housey-ish. What was the last straw for me was at a party she started accusing me of drinking all her beer, I guess as an excuse to talk to me. It was the guy she brought to the party drinking her beer. She was claiming he was her BF but I ended up chatting with him for a bit and they had a class together but had just started talking like the day before. I ended up crashing on the couch that night. Woke up to her dead eyeing me from her bed while riding that dude reverse cowgirl. Told my friend I wasn't going to come over anymore while she lived there. She ended up stopped paying rent and he had to go through a whole eviction process. 75. Currently dealing with one. Recently became a former coworker. Messages me inappropriate pictures of her in lingerie for an objective opinion on how she looks and when told to stop, insists it's my so's wishes that she stops and not mine. My so is aware of this creepy girl and told me not to block her and just ignore it so that I have evidence in case I ever need it, and she tries to say I was inappropriate with her at our job. 76. Your so is wise and obviously trusts you. 77. Dated a girl for like a week. Decided to break it off because it wasn't working out. Different beliefs about key topics. She was still obsessed with me and would camp out everywhere I went to try to run into me. Eventually, I got frustrated and told her off. She proceeded to set fire in front of the place where I worked. I put out the fire, told her to get lost one final time, and I guess she got the memo. She hated me after that. 78. Our high school basketball team had a female student manager. When we had games at other schools, she would always come up with an excuse to need something in the locker room while we were showering. But we were so used to her, I suppose no one said anything. 79. I used to lifeguard and I would literally have to guard the boys' locker room so the high school girls wouldn't accidentally walk in on our male coworkers showering at the end of their shift. It was only 2 girls and they quickly got reported and fired, but it was really creepy behavior. 80. I don't know if this counts as a creepy girl story, but it's a story how I dodged not a bullet, but a fucking nuke. So I was in uni. Broke up with me then 2 weeks ago. One day, out of the blue, a girl from my uni, different course, hits me up. She invites me to her dorm room to hang out. Of course, as many guys, sadly, I decided to think with my dick. What struck me as odd was the fact that she texted me, "Don't worry, I have 2 to 3 boxes of condoms. You don't need any." However, I had my personal favorite brand and stopped by the pharmacy to buy a box. I go to her room, we do the deed. Although she was a little disappointed when she saw my personal box of condoms. Who cares? I had sex and that was the most important thing back then. 2-3 weeks later, she texted me that she was pregnant. She said not to worry, it's not mine. She, however, expressed remorse that it wasn't. Why? Because, and I quote, "Our kid would have had your blue eyes." I love me some blue eyes. What I learned was that this crazy bitch poked holes in the condoms because she's just crazy. I don't know what happened to her, I don't give a shit. 81. Welp, if I ever have sex, I'm buying my own condoms. 82. A girl in my middle school was convinced my having red hair and dark skin meant I was descended from the people of Atlantis, which she reality shifted to regularly. She apparently had sex with me in her minscape, an imaginary land full of people she'd met and serene landscapes she'd built. She spent 3 years sexually harassing me, asking people about my dick, talking about wanting me to breed her, groping me in hallways, following me, stealing anything from me she could, and drawing me in various states of sexual debauchery with real humans, usually breeding real humans, to create hybrid babies. Because her dad is the superintendent for the school district, everything got swept under the rug and treated as harmless. She's in therapy. People reassured me, she's not dangerous. She's just unwell. Until she sexually assaulted a kid she babysat. That, her dad couldn't make go away, given she filmed it and uploaded it somewhere, I don't know where. Apparently this kid was also Atlantan, owing to his blue eyes and dark skin. 83. Fucking yikes. How old was the kid? 84. He was 6. She was 16, which she thought would legally protect her from charges, since she was a minor. The law doesn't, in fact, work that way, thankfully. 85. Had a girl ends have her father call me and ask why I didn't want to date his daughter. I'm 35 now and still can't wrap my head around it. 86. Should I say he raped me? He didn't, but should I say it? This stupid girl sent this in a message, which was obviously saved and used in the court case against her. 87. Man, sorry that happened. 88. I, 22 at the time, met a girl, 20 at the time, through an online game, League of Legends. Gross, I know, and I'm still struggling with paranoia after this story. Things were going well, we were happy, we talked and gamed almost every day. Things were actually working out very well. Flash forward about 2 weeks after we made things official. We had only been talking for like 2 weeks prior. She lived in Pennsylvania where I live in Florida. I woke up for work one day and checked my phone. I have a message from her stating, "Hey, you will never guess where I am right now." I started to respond to her when I get a knock on my door. Sure enough, there she stood in my doorway. I was shocked, stunned and baffled at how and why she had just showed up out of nowhere. She started talking about moving in and starting a family and all this stuff about the wedding. Once I was able to get my mind on track again, I looked at her and was just like, you know, this is all a lot right now. We have only been dating for a few weeks and just I need you to leave. She then pulled a knife and was talking about suicide, going after my family, and all this stuff in my front yard. Thankfully, my neighbor, who was a city police officer, was headed out to work at that time too, came over and helped me out by removing her and told her if she was seen around here again that she would be arrested on sight. I turned off all social media, changed my phone number, and blocked her on everything I could. I still have PTSD and get nervous in public, constantly check over my shoulder to see if I'm being followed. 89. League of Legends truly brings out the worst in people. 90. She definitely sounds like a League player. 91. Was dating a girl in my early 20s and she mentioned that she had just broke up with some guy, but I didn't really ask too many questions and didn't want to pry. As the relationship went on, there was this creepy guy in her apartment complex that was extremely nice to me, almost to the point where it was alarming because he was too nice. She broke with me later that year and never gave me a reason, and about 10 years later I found out why. That guy was overly nice to me, was her ex-boyfriend, and he was planning on kidnapping me, torturing me, and eventually killing me, and she had a suspicion and broke it off with me and saved my life. The guy killed himself a year later, and he did it while he was on the phone with her. 92. Yo, what the fuck? 93. Holy shit, good thing she realized what was happening and broke up with you. Poor girl. 94. Girl I dated 2 years ago? I broke up with her because she was abusive. So, I blocked her number and she would no caller ID me 30 to 50 times a day. So the creepy thing is, blocked messages are still saved. I noticed my inbox was full, but I rarely receive voice messages. I see that a year later she would randomly call and cry on the phone for 15 minutes to over an hour at a time, no words, just crying. It was unsettling. 95. The girl who forced me into sex by threatening to tell her football coach, dad, and linebacker brother that I was abusive to her, and then stopped me from penetrating and just grinded on me until she got off, goes around to this day making sure everyone in my old friend groups and my siblings' friend groups understands that she got to take my virginity. She will literally walk up and drunkenly interrupt people's conversations to this day to just blurt it out. She will find parties that I was at or shows I was performing at, and make sure to pop up and interrupt any interactions I have by introducing herself and blurting that she took my virginity. This has been going on for almost 20 years now. 96. You didn't take my virginity, you blackmailed me into allowing you to assault me. You are lucky I didn't report you to the police. Get the hell out of here.